This is how you make your subject float. So we've already taken our pictures. We have one of our subject on a stool and one of the background. The thing that was really important is that the focus is in the same spot. If you have autofocus on and your subject moves, it could potentially focus on the background. So you want to make sure that you have the same focus, otherwise, and same exposure, otherwise they will not match up. So manual exposure and manual focus is recommended. Then I'm going to select both of my pictures. So clicking on this and then holding on command and clicking on the second one. You're going to right click and then you go to edit in, open as layers in Photoshop. You could just do this, but you'd have to drag them into the same picture. So this saves you a step. All right, now our pictures are loading. It might take a second for them to open up in our layers. You want to make sure that they are in the right order. So sometimes they'll pop up opposite. So you just want to make sure the background is indeed on the bottom layer and then your person is on the top. You could, in fact, do several photos and then merge them together. But this example is just one other photo. Next, what I want to do is before I get started is I want to align the layers. So even if you think you did a pretty good job, you'll notice that the tripod can move just a little bit in between pictures. So we're going to select both of these layers, command click. We go to edit, auto align layers, and then I'm just going to hit auto. So here we go. It's going to process, and then your pictures should be lined up perfectly. So you'll see it shifted just the tiniest little bit, and now they should be really, really close to being lined up. We're almost done. It's really, really simple. The next thing is I'm going to add a layer mask to this photo. So I go down here, it's a top photo, add a layer mask, which is going to be white. So right now I see everything in this picture because this is white. What I'm going to do is if I go to B, which is the brush tool. So if you tap B on the keyboard, it'll bring up your brushes. And then hit D for default black and white on your toolbar. It'll bring up default black and white, which is the same as clicking that. And then tapping X will switch between black and white. You can also hit the arrows here, but I like to tap X so that I can go back and forth while I am working in the brush. Next, you can just sort of paint over your picture. And you're actually painting on the layer mask. So if you painted on your picture, you would literally be painting black on a picture, Command Z to go back. But what I'm going to do is go on my layer mask and then paint out that stool. It can get a little tricky if things in the background moved a little bit between the two pictures, but it should work pretty well. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to make this brush a little bit smaller. I just right click to bring up the brush settings. And then I might need to make the edge of this brush a little bit harder so it matches the edge of the shadow here, because that looks a little sloppy. So I'm going to make the hardness more. And then I can actually paint back. So, whoops. Let's go over here. So if I hit X, I can paint that back. And I'm just going to go carefully over this edge. Carefully. It's a little bit better. Okay. Oops. X to go back. And then I'm just going to go in here and carefully paint this. You could potentially make a selection and feather the edge. There's lots of ways to do this. But I'm gonna go make it smaller, get in. There we go. And just a little bit less. Okay, Command Z. So now my subject looks like it's floating. I can turn the layer on and off. And what I've really done is cut a hole in the picture. So if I turn that off, I can see if I've missed anything. Turn it back on. So you just basically cut a hole in the picture, and that's it. Then the last step is to do File and Save, and it should pop up back in Lightroom. All right.